Hi everyone, that son of a bitch is here, John Thomas Wright, and he is a son of a bitch. My mother was a bitch. I just don't mind saying so. And you know what? I don't mind telling the truth. Matter of fact, I answered some of the people's messages tonight, my views on things, Satan and Eve and everyone. And here's the view I have on Satan and Eve. Satan and Eve's got involved together, okay? As far as I'm concerned, those two should be married. Those two should go get a room together. And those two have a room together now in the top layer of hell. Now, I must say, I'm not really bitter at Satan at all. And I am bitter at Eve, but I will tell you that I do love Eve. I mean, I do understand that Eve's from my rib. And you know what? I'll just be truthful. Love and hate has a two-edged sword. It goes like this. It describes it in the Bible too. And my love and my hate swings back and forth so viciously that, I mind the Holy Father. The Holy Father tells me things. The Holy Father tells me to do things. And I will say, a lot of times, God makes me work a lot, really hard, because with hard work comes great wisdom. And that is part of it. And when you do things and you forge ahead properly under the Yahshua, and you forge ahead, you start doing things correct, and you start doing things correct. It'll come to a point where, it's hard to do things correct when you've been doing things wrong for so long. But once you start doing things right, you're going to see the beneficial end of it, and you're going to think, why in the fuck did I ever do that in the past? And some of the reason is you know what? You were set up to fail, okay? Your folks didn't want you to succeed more than them. Why? Because they always wanted you to come back and have to, kiss up to them or something. And I think this is animosity goes back and forth. And, the parents think that, they're always so right and stuff, and the kid thinks, well, I'm right too. And that kid may very well be right. In his own way, he may be seeing things correctly when the parents actually may not be. They can't see things because why? It's not in their best interest. They do what's in their best interest. Well, then they're disgusted because the kids, they start doing what's in their best interest. And why would they even object to such a thing, especially when they've been taught to behave that way? And it goes down to a behavior pattern that comes from the parents. Now, well, if your parents aren't worth a fuck, what do you think the kids are going to be? Huh? So don't go blaming your children on what you have done. You've set those very children up for failure. And it happens time and time again. Hey, you know what? How is this? Just get on the system and milk the system. Hey, just milk the system until it goes down. I was told that. I was told that by my dad, George L. Wright. But he was being enslaved at $2 an hour. So I could imagine from seeing his perspective how it was. My dad got over his head a long time ago. Well, he must have made a deal with Satan. He may have just did that very thing. Because I know that George is in the top layer of hell. And I do know Satan's there too. And Satan can come into people's bodies and do things at certain times. And you know what? He may have possessed George. George may be actually Satan. They were housed in Morton, Washington. All I know is we've got, you know, people that's in the top layer of hell. There's a lot of people that's in the top layer of hell that I love that are victims of this whole thing, like Matthew Smith. Yeah, Matt Smith. Matt Smith was a victim, and I named Matthew Thomas right after Matt Smith, matter of fact. And, you know, it just goes on and on. I wouldn't have named my boy Terry Shortridge, although there was people that, you know, would have done such a thing to hurt my feelings. You know, they would name their children Terry Shortridge, like one of the Shortridge women. And they named their child Terry. Well, you know that Terry Shortridge, that girl, that little bitch, she fucking shut a door and hit me at the dollar store up there in Thurston County. And that little bitch, she fucking goddamn deserves fucking to fall off a fucking bridge. I don't give a fuck if it is a Shortridge. And I'll tell you what, another thing about those Shortridges, I don't like any of them anymore. I used to like Jeff Shortridge. Jeff, you goddamn knew the fucking truth about the whole goddamn thing, about the D.B. Cooper stuff, the whole goddamn thing. That boy, your brother, got murdered on my bed. You know, the Shortridge boys, they brought me an ounce of weed, sold it to me for $160 when that bowling alley was built. I had money. You know, I had newspaper routes and stuff like that. I had my own money. But, you know, they were showing me that it was okay. We'll sell you an ounce of pot. You know, everybody was like, well, it's okay, you know, like this. I had family members saying, you know, this basically, you know, you're wishing death upon someone, you know, he had Hodgkin's disease. We did him a favor. Well, you did him a favor and you shot someone in front of me, and you've harmed the whole goddamn community with a bunch of goddamn lies. You know, I would say, if any of you out there have anything to say that's truthful, you better get it off your goddamn chest. You better do it. And you better fucking make your amends with the Holy Father in the name of Yahshua. Because Jesus will not get it. Jesus will get you the failed test. You won't be saved. You will not be saved by that fucking bullshit Jesus. Because that's all that it is. You want to be a long-haired freak? Fucking be a hippie? Hey, it's okay to smoke pot. I have nothing against smoking pot. Smoking cigarettes and all that shit. Cigarettes is garbage. It'll kill you. Marijuana is a spectrum. It makes you cough out the stuff out of your lungs, from what I understand. It has more beneficial values than negative values in my book. Why? Because you get to make your choice in life just like you make your choice every day. But it's Yahshua inside the cup, Yahshua outside the cup. And by the way, this isn't about smoking herb. This is about what's being correct and right. You know, just because you're a Jesus freak don't mean that you could be a pedophile and hide behind what you're doing, just like the Catholic Church has done. I see the Pope has recently passed away, you know, and fuck the Pope. I don't give a fuck about his life or death, to be honest with you. He lived a good life, and God knew what he was going to do before he ever done it. And by the way, if he isn't saying Yahshua is the Lord, he isn't going to be saved anyway. You see, you understand that one? You know, all these preachers are going to be punished worse than the victims out in the audience. Isn't that something? Because these preachers know the Lord's name is Yahshua, but they still contend to say Jesus. You know, and it's just as simple as that. Oh, and you don't have to give your money to any of these goddamn churches anymore. No more Joel Osteen, no more Jimmy Swaggart, no more nothing. Put that money right in your pocket. Sure, sure. Right here's your temple. Right here's your temple. Those buildings are not temples. Those buildings are buildings. Those buildings is nothing more than, you remember when the Lord came in and flipped over all the money changers at the thing? They've created the whole goddamn thing, and they put bingo parlors in there too. Hell, I mean, I don't know if the bingo parlors are still in the churches, but they sure the fuck was when I was a kid. And money is the root to all evil, and they'll lie to get money from you. And they'll shame you in order to do it. Hey, all that I'm telling is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You know what? I have to deal with Eve and Satan every fucking day. And I deal with the Holy Father. The Holy Father enlightens me to, I have a notebook right here, you know, and I've got 3 pages of little notes where, you know, I go and I have to, Donny Osmond songs, they like Donny Osmond songs, you know. Eve is like a little girl in a way. She is like a little girl, you know. And Satan doesn't know his sexuality, whether he is a male or a female, from what I understand. So Satan can go either way, you know. Satan can be a homosexual, Satan can go and be a heterosexual. So, that, you know, to them, anything's open, but God had made woman for a purpose, and the purpose was to be a companion for man, but to serve man, you know, like that, but not to enslave this woman. You know, this woman was supposed to be a lot brighter than the man and help the man in many ways, and the man's body's actually built to do other things that the woman does, and the woman's body's absolutely built to have children in the future, and for sex and other purposes such as that. But, you know, that's nothing we're going to get into a sex ed conversation here right now. I've got 3 beautiful women's right here, and I love all 3 of them. I get women from all over the world. I got my little bar here at home, and you know what? God tells me He doesn't want me going out at night. Eve is of the night, and Adam is of the light. And Eve is a witch, and she followed Satan, bloodthirsty vampire shit. Your daytime, John, you know, I'm supposed to follow the light, and Eve is from the darkness. Eve was created from when Adam was asleep, so when it probably at night is what I would imagine. I mean, I can only give you what I'm getting. And favors light, John and Adam. I favor the light. Eve favors darkness. I have a curfew because Eve is of the night with Satan's shield. You're no match for me. I am God, John. That's what Satan's telling me as far as Eve's concerned. I tell Satan you can have her because you are her first husband, and that's what the Lord said to the Samaritan woman at the well when He asked her to fetch her some water. And let's see, what else do I have? Bloodthirsty blood shit. Let's see. People in hell are happy. I work both sides well. I moan for the dead. I am blessed. 3D Satan. 3D, the third day Satan. 1,000 years. I think Satan gets out in 1,000 years for a little season. And the season will last probably 1,000 years from what I'm getting. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself. I'm sure I'll get it soon. Checkers versus chess. Red cars, black cars. Good guys drive black cars, maybe. I don't know. Something. There may be something to consider, with red and black cars connecting. They might run together like in packs of troublemakers, possibly. I know the red ones are. And also, the red cars blend in actually with the dark. When it gets dark, it's where they become a liability. Really, red cars are a liability. And also, people will target your hot daughter for driving that red car of hers too, by the way. And you never know who your daughter might meet driving that red fucking car. And if that red fucking car breaks down, you never know who might stop to pick up your daughter. As far as I'm concerned, but girls drive red cars, boys don't drive red cars, as far as I'm concerned. But in reality, most people should understand that fire departments drive red cars, EMTs drive red cars, and these people are wannabe ambulance chasers and etc. and troublemakers, cop callers, etc. And that's what I've learned about this whole thing. And it is Friday. I've been busy all week. I've worked out so hard, and I'm going to continue working out. I know that. I should take tomorrow off. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I still have an action-packed day set up for tomorrow. Regardless, I want to go fishing first thing in the morning, probably work out with weights after that and continue. Anyway, I'll talk to you tomorrow, and Mountaintop Music goes off tomorrow as planned. I'm just going to try to have fun and maybe sing a couple songs. Maybe they'll come out good, and maybe they won't. But you know what? I have a fan base in hell, and you know what? They can see through the cameras, and they can actually see through the internet and stuff too, through reflections and camera lenses and stuff like that. Now, I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that they can see me performing, they can hear me when I talk, and they do know when I'm talking to you, and they will correct me if I'm wrong. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.